What's up everybody, Matt Moran here for another weekly update. So there's lots of stuff to go over here. It's a little bit shorter this week because of my schedule here. I didn't have as much time to do quite as many stories. But anyway, first one this week is still a big news story, and that is that Chevy is going to be offering a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine in the all-new 2019 Silverado in their full-size truck, which is a first, I think, for any truck manufacturer. You know, they continue to downsize, but this is the smallest, out of all of them with Chevy doing this. It's a 2.7 liter 4-cylinder turbo engine. It's a brand new engine, and so yes, it's a 4-cylinder, but still 2.7 liters. So it's a decent amount of displacement. It's obviously the same as the 2.7 liter EcoBoost V6 that Ford has. So this is just 4 cylinders instead of 6. Same size though. So I think because that's very comparable. It does 310 horsepower, 348 pound-feet of torque, which is a lot of power for a 4-cylinder, even though it is on the larger side. But anyway, it was designed from the get-go to be a truck engine supposedly, and so it's got a longer stroke to maximize that low-end torque. And so this engine will replace the 4.3 liter V6 engine in the LT trim, but you'll still be able to get that V6 in the work truck, custom, and custom Trail Boss trims, but it only has 285 horsepower and 305 pound-feet of torque. So the 4-cylinder turbo is actually an upgrade from this huge 4.3 liter V6. And of course, you can still get the 5.3 liter and 6.2 liter V8s. Those are still going to be available, of course, and those engines now also get cylinder deactivation and standard stop-start tech. So that's hopefully going to be defeatable because I know some of the other GM vehicles you can't turn off their start-stop, which is really annoying to me. But anyway, so they all have that now. That 2.7 liter turbo 4-cylinder, it has an 8-speed automatic that it's made it up to, and so that's what most of the other Silverados are going to still be using, an 8-speed automatic. But if you go for the 6.2 liter V8, that one will be available with the 10-speed automatic, the same one that's in the F-150 and in some other Chevy and Ford products. They co-developed it together. So it's getting that for that most powerful V8 there. And those other V8s, they still have the same power outputs as last year. Nothing new there. So the Silverado is a little bit behind with its rollout. So they're not going to be available until the third quarter. And that's only going to be for the V8 crew cab trims. And then all the other trims and the 4-cylinder motor and stuff, that's all going to be available in the fourth quarter of this year. So towards the end of the year, before you actually start seeing these new Silverados showing up here. But anyway, a very interesting development there. And now for some sports car news here. Aston Martin has a couple of stories this week. First is they revealed the Aston Martin DB11 AMR, which is currently the top trim from Aston Martin, although that is going to be a very short-lived title because we know that the DBS Superleggera is coming in just a couple of weeks. And it was actually just spied with a convertible version, so we know that's coming. And it's awesome they're going to have it in a convertible too, because hopefully that means we'll get that V12 with a convertible, since the regular DB11 Volante you can only get with a V8. Anyway, though, back to the DB11 AMR here. It's going to be using the same 5.2 liter V12 twin turbo engine, but it goes from 600 horsepower to 630, so a nice little boost there. Torque stays at 516 pound-feet. 0 to 60 is now 0.2 seconds faster at 3.7 seconds, and now has a top speed of 208 miles per hour. And so, they've of course retuned the transmission and exhaust to be more aggressive. There's darker headlamps and black and carbon fiber trim. A lot of the badges and things are blacked out there, and of course you can get any kind of options you want with lime green stitching and accents on the interior, and whatever you want to do. Of course, they're very customizable vehicles. They get forged and lighter 20-inch wheels for these AMR versions as well, and ordering is already available, and you can order them starting at $241,000 and going up quickly from there, again with all those options. Deliveries are going to be happening in the second quarter of this year to start off, yeah, so pretty cool to see that. Some other Aston Martin news, speaking of stuff being delivered, is they just built the first production 2019 Vantage for a customer, and so Vantages, these new ones are now ramping up production, and hopefully here we'll be seeing a good amount of them here by the summer or fall. So cool to see that. Mercedes also has revealed a new sports car, although it's just like them filling in a little niche that they kind of already had, but not really. So They already had, the AMG GT S, sports car that we've had for a couple of years now. And then for the Roadster, so far it was only available in GT or GTC trims. And there was a little bit of a gap between those because, on the low end, it's a 469 horsepower for that GT version and then 550 for the GTC. And I guess, Mercedes, they're obsessed with filling every little niche. That's why they have so many redundant vehicles and overlap, it seems. But so they have rolled out a GTS Roadster, which, as you guessed it, is just right in between the two engines there. So this middle one has 515 horsepower, 494 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 is 3.7 seconds, so that's 0.2 faster than the GT, but only 0.1 seconds slower than the GTC. So it's almost cannibalizing the GTC. I mean, you'll get a few people that still, buy that because they want the absolute top dog Roadster. And, then I guess it just, I don't know, there's so many models. It's just like, I feel like people, if they really, don't want to spend the money for the GTC and get a GT, can just do a tune or something and get an extra 40 horsepower if they want it. But anyway, it's good that Mercedes is giving people options, I guess. We'll see how they sell. It's got a slightly lower top speed than the GTC, 8 miles per hour less. It goes to 188. Anyway, these are going to be arriving late in 2018 if you were waiting for one of these to finally be available in Roadster. AutoGuide this past week is reporting about a new trademark that Lexus has filed for the LQ name. And so the thinking here is that this L, all the L models usually are the top of the line models. And we know that, just at the Detroit Auto Show in January, Lexus showed off the LF1 Limitless concept, which is their idea of like a flagship luxury crossover. And so that sounds like, they just showed the concept. Now they trademark a name for something that's also top of the line, most likely an SUV. And so, you just put the pieces together, and that's most likely what this is here. And so there's rumors that it could be debuting here at the next Tokyo Motor Show, but we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, interesting to see that. Speaking of ultimate SUVs, going back to Mercedes and actually Maybach, AutoGuide has another report here that supposedly they've heard that the Maybach SUV that's coming is going to be getting this new fancy suspension. So they're saying whatever it is going to be showing up at the LA Auto Show in November, which we've been hearing various places that Maybach has an SUV coming. It'll be based on the brand new GLS platform, and take that new GLS that we have yet to see and make it even nicer, which is gonna be probably just a little bit worked over, not anything too radically different, but I mean, who knows, with the Rolls-Royce and stuff, the Kona N that just came out last week, they might really try and do something next level, but they certainly are going to be trying to do something next level with the suspension, because the rumor here is that Mercedes has this magic body control system that kind of reads the road ahead of you with all their sensors and cameras, and will actually pre-adjust the suspension before you hit a bump, so that it doesn't react to the bump. It already knows the bump ahead of time, and will make it as smooth as possible for the ride. And apparently Maybach's working on a system to even evolve that further and make it even more intelligent, which sounds, I don't know how you're going to get any better with that, but so another interesting thing though about this Maybach is that it's also going to have a chauffeur mode, and supposedly this chauffeur mode is going to, it's a driving mode as you're driving that's going to limit the amount of times that the vehicle shifts, so that it gives you more low end torque. It actually retunes on this driving mode to give you more torque down low. It'll shift less because they don't want to disturb the people in the back seat with shifting. And I don't think that whenever people are cruising around in any normal S-Class or Maybach that they're like, man, these shifts are so rough. I wish this vehicle didn't shift so much. But they're just really being perfectionists here, and so they want to minimize the shifting. And yeah, I haven't driven the new S-Class, but I feel like all those luxury vehicles, you can't even tell that they're shifting. So it seems kind of like a pointless pursuit, but hey, it's a cool little feature anyway. So anyway, cool to see that. Auto Express actually has some interesting news from Hyundai here, supposedly. So Auto Express interviewed Hyundai N's leader, Albert Bierman, who, he's the guy behind all the N models for Hyundai, and he's also the guy that kind of helped engineer the Kia Stinger and the G70 and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so he basically admitted that they're working on a Kona N prototype. He was actually pretty transparent about what it would actually be. So he said it hasn't actually been approved yet by Hyundai, so, that's still waiting to see if they make a business business case for it, but he said it'd be very easy to do. They basically are just sharing components with other N models. He said it'll have basically the same underpinnings as the i30N, which is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo that in the i30 does 250 horsepower, but that motor in the Veloster N is going to be doing 271, so it could get the 271 number too, at least here in the States. And so it would use the same gearbox as that i30N, which I believe they have an 8-speed dual clutch, and you can also get it with a manual. If we got the Kona N here in the States, and, it was actually this powerful one, I feel like they probably wouldn't let us have the manual, but I could be wrong. Maybe they'll be really cool and offer both the manual and the auto. But he also said it would probably have to be front-wheel drive because none of these N products yet have been engineered to have any kind of all-wheel drive setup. And so unless they, took something from the Genesis, brand or something to make an all-wheel drive that could handle the higher power there, I'm not sure how that would pan out. But I feel like at least in the States here, we would want all-wheel drive if we're going to have an SUV because a front-wheel drive performance SUV just sounds kind of weird. I mean, the Kona, it's a little bit bigger than a hot hatch. You can't really think of it as like a hot hatch. But we'll have to see what they end up doing with that. But again, it hasn't even been approved yet, but they said they're working on a prototype. He has a team that's built a Kona N, a rough one, and they're kind of testing it and trying to sell the idea to the corporate people. So we'll have to see what pans out with that. While we're talking about Kia, though, sister company Kia here, they announced a new 48-volt ultra-mild hybrid system. So it's not just a mild hybrid, it's an ultra mild hybrid. So very, very limited. I guess the extra complexity is worth it to them, though, as far as efficiency. It has a starter and a generator that are connected to a belt that cranks the engine. And so it enables the engine to turn off before the car is stopped, and it assists acceleration from a stop. So it's, again, it kind of widens the amount of time when you don't need the engine on. And so, just to kind of minimize the engine's involvement as much as possible at those super low speeds or when you're coasting, I guess. And so interesting to see that. It's first going to be coming to Europe on the diesel Kia Sportage, the new one that's coming this year. And then it's going to be coming to gas engines in Europe. They didn't commit to giving it to us here in the States, but why would they not? Everyone's electrifying everything, and that's the trend. So I would be very shocked if we didn't get this stuff here. So it's basically unavoidable, in my opinion, at least. So anyway, interesting to see that. And for some more welcome tech, Ford this past week, and I think it was back at CES this year, they announced that they were going to have Waze integration for iOS owners for the Sync 3 system. And so, everyone that's Android, all you Android people already have, Waze built into Android Auto, and that's awesome. But Apple, being stubborn, does not allow Waze in CarPlay. You have to use, Apple Maps. And so Ford's found this workaround with their App Link thing that they have within the Ford system, and so you can just run Waze now through that. You have to have a Sync 3.0 software version on the Sync 3 system, so that's coming, I think, standard on most 2018s. I think, definitely for all 2019s, and it's an easy software update. If you want to do it, you can do it from your house. You can also do it, I think, wirelessly if your car is hooked up to Wi-Fi, or you can also do it at the dealership. And anyway, once you have that, you just have the latest version of all your phone stuff set up, then you're set, and you can use Waze even on an iOS device, which I'm personally very excited about because I do prefer Waze over Apple Maps. I only really use Waze whenever I'm in a vehicle that doesn't have CarPlay and I'm navigating somewhere. But the few times that I've used it, especially on the highway, I mean, it has every single cop always marked, and it never misses any of them, really. And it's really, I love the additional notifications you get with Waze as you're driving on road hazards and stuff like that. So be able to use that in your Ford vehicle is really going to be awesome. Lincoln's also get it, of course. And so yeah, it has full Waze functionality, and that's something I'm looking forward to using here in my Mustang here. I'll probably update my 2016, and of course it'll come on the Bullet already ready to go with that new software update. So anyway, very cool to see that that's officially out now. And the last story this week here is BMW has teased the iNext concept EV. So this is going to be shown, this concept is going to be shown later this year, probably either at the Paris Motor Show or the LA Auto Show. And production version of this will probably be coming in 2021 is the rumor here, according to Auto Guide. And they're reporting that it's going to be probably there's still very vague ranges since this is only starting in a concept form, and the concept's even a couple months away. But they're hearing anywhere between 200 480 to 435 miles of range, and anywhere from 134 horsepower to 443 horsepower. Some rumors are even claiming up to 800, so who knows? It's really all over the place. Anywhere from like 134 horsepower to 800, like really a wide range there. So anyway, yeah, but that's cool. It's obviously gonna have a bunch of advanced autonomous stuff too, most likely whenever it comes along. And we know this isn't gonna be the first EV that BMW puts out as far as SUVs go. They're also gonna have the iX3, which is gonna be coming in a few weeks with its official reveal, and that's gonna be on sale relatively soon after. But anyway, so yeah, BMW continues to push towards their electrified future, with a large amount of their models being electrified here in the next few years. But yeah, so anyway, cool to see that. But that's it for all the news this week, guys. Let me know your thoughts about everything in the comments below. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Take care.